50-year warranty. Right now, get a new roof for as low as $149 a month. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl.
Hi there, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts. Great show ahead today. We're talking Arbor Day.
Yes.
Which is today, of course.
Which is today. We'll get to that in a second. And we're talking about some rain.
Yes, yes. Rain across the state, down south. It's actually a pretty active day across the central and eastern U.S.
Right. Tom's going to talk about why that's not such a bad thing.
Right,
We've got the drought monitor update coming up there. We're even going to talk about that smiley face again today.
I can't wait to
because we actually caught it on video. And
it's something.
You'll be underwhelmed, but it is kind of cool to look at. So stick around for that. I got a lot of stuff coming up. But yeah, right off the top, it is Arbor Day today, commemorated in the U.S. on this date. The holiday dates back to the 1500s. It's been around a long time. Actually started in Spain. Nebraska was the first state in the Union to celebrate Arbor Day back in the 1870s. Now, of course, you're called to plant some more trees, maybe take care of some existing ones, and everybody's kind of pushing that even more these days, right? As health and forestry experts highlight the positive nature, and natural and mental health benefits of this as well. Fox Chanley Painter has more.
Spring has sprung. And now you can also spring into action to promote better environmental and personal health with Friday marking Arbor Day.
This is a day dedicated to the planting of trees.
Besides creating life-sustaining oxygen, trees offer tremendous amounts of other natural benefits.
They can be there for decreasing stormwater runoff and improving the quality of the air. In loud, noisy cities, they actually make them a little bit quieter. And they can help cool cities. Trees actually can provide up to 10 degrees cooler weather underneath their canopies, which is amazing.
Meanwhile, public health professionals say immersing yourself in some extra greenery can do wonders for your mental health.
We can improve our mood and restore our ability to pay attention just by spending 10 minutes looking at a tree.
But forestry experts say the trees themselves must also be healthy. A new study from researchers at Clemson University reveals a connection between well-maintained trees in urban areas and lower rates of adult depression.
Tree health definitely impacts urban depression rate in a very significant manner. Local communities can definitely play a big role when it comes to maintaining, sustaining, and caring for all the trees that belong to a city.
Want to help make an impact? You can look for deals on saplings or free tree giveaways at your local nursery or hardware store. I'm Chanley Painter, Fox News.
Great points in there.
Yeah.
And the one thing that really stuck out in that conversation for me, or in that report, was that trees can lower the temperature in a city.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about the urban heat island effect, right? With the cities having quite a bit more asphalt and concrete and things that kind of maintain heat more so than out in the country. And you get a lot more, get these spikes of heat, particularly in the summer. So planting trees and having more green space in the city can help to really mitigate that.
Right.
And it's typically the cities that when we get into heat waves suffer the worst because you unfortunately will have folks that maybe don't have the access to air conditioning and things like that. So simply planting some trees and creating more green space can do that, plus look good and give our mental health a boost. I'm all in on this Arbor Day.
Really a main takeaway for me too, the mental health aspect to it, especially with kids. So not just for us as adults, but I think of my kids too. Great advice I was given when I had my first 6 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, water or get outside. Water and fresh air. So like bath time or just being out in the fresh air. And that goes for winter time too. Being out in nature and in just fresh air does so much for our bodies and our mental health in general.
All too often we lose connection. We forget the kids need to connect with nature as well. So there you go. On this Arbor Day, find a way to get out there and maybe plant a tree, maybe just give a tree a hug. Either way, it'll be good
Stare
for you.
At a tree.
Yeah.
Magnolia trees. Can I just
you
add
have
real
one
quick?
in your yard, right?
Yes,
They're
in my
blooming.
parents' front yard.
Oh, okay.
It's huge. I've loved it, and it is already blooming. But here in Wisconsin, my mom's in Illinois. Here in Wisconsin, they're just starting to bloom. So there you go.
They are beautiful trees.
Find a magnolia tree.
Stick around for that.
Stare at it.
The trees need water, so we do have some rain in the forecast. That's good.
Yeah, as we kind of mentioned earlier, it is a little bit active, as you can see on the broad view of radar across the Great Lakes region and the eastern U.S. between primarily rain showers, but there are a few thunderstorms in spots. In fact, look at it, looks like just west of Charlotte here in eastern Tennessee, one severe thunderstorm warning. But earlier there were a few warnings as well as flash flood warnings across portions of Mississippi. You can see just how strong, or more so just how heavy the rain is within some of this activity down towards the south near the Gulf Coast. But let's go back up to our area. This is just south of us in Illinois, another one of the spots dealing with some heavier pockets of rain as well as some thunder and some lightning. But just north of the border into Wisconsin, most of what's in Illinois as it moves into our area, weakening. So we're really just getting in on some of the lighter rain showers, and they do extend all the way up towards the north. The steady rain has been ongoing all morning long for places like Green Bay. I know not ideal with all of the festivities for the NFL draft, but you know, it really gets going later on today, and that's when the rain will be ending. So some somewhat good news there. In fact, behind this batch of rain, you can still see the cloud cover, but drying conditions at this point. So throughout the remainder of this afternoon into about your early evening hours, we'll still have some rain showers across eastern portions of Wisconsin. Now, we're not expecting heavy rainfall here, but as you saw with all the activity out towards the east, they could easily pick up half an inch to about an inch of rainfall in all of these areas in green, which I would say do include areas just south of us in northern Illinois. Even greater threat for some heavy rain down towards the southwest. So definitely some stronger showers, some thunderstorms away from our area. Here locally, we're really not expecting much, especially here in southeast Wisconsin. I'd say almost or up to about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall. Up towards the north a little bit more, better chance for maybe 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain, but this is not going to be a big rainmaker here locally. So most of it's light, but it's pesky. You'll still need those windshield wipers as you are driving. Maybe you're heading up to Green Bay later on after work or after school. You will definitely still be driving in a little bit of rain. Now, when it comes to thunderstorm activity, not expecting it here around the Great Lakes region. There is a severe threat down towards the south across portions of northern Texas as well as western Texas. Pretty much a similar scene to the threat yesterday as well. Not a huge chance, but something worth watching, of course. And then skipping ahead, Saturday's quiet across much of the area. But once we hit the second half of the weekend, we start to see those thunderstorm chances out west increasing. So a stormier forecast here, or trend, in the coming days, starting out west, but eventually reaching us here in Wisconsin. So you can see there is kind of a minimal threat for a few stronger thunderstorms out west to end the weekend. But what I really want to focus on here, at least an initial look at this, is our area for Monday. We are looking at the potential for some pretty warm conditions, windy conditions, and the chance for some severe weather. Now, it is a ways away still. This is for Monday, but the Storm Prediction Center already highlighting a decent chance for at least a few strong to severe thunderstorms around our area, and then especially towards the west and southwest. So something we'll be watching very closely. Back to today, just a few more hours of some of this light rain. It's not going to last too long. Once we hit that early evening, dinner hour, most of it will be out of our area. Then clouds will gradually decrease overnight tonight, setting us up for a beautiful Saturday all across the state of Wisconsin. So the weekend, at least, right on cue for nice weather. If you are planning on heading to Green Bay the rest of today or tomorrow, still going to have a few of those light rain chances, as we've mentioned multiple times now. It's also going to be windy and cooler, high temperature around 50s, so make sure you have your jacket if you're going later, because that's when temperatures will of course begin to fall. Saturday though, looking lovely with those temperatures in the upper 50s. And down south, again here in the Milwaukee area, we will also continue to climb. Saturday going to be a little cooler lakeside, but then we will all really begin to jump, especially Monday, Tuesday, as we see that next storm system rolling in. Still potentially a bit cooler lakeside for Monday, but everybody looking at 70s. So a big jump in temperatures. And the long range, you know, we dip a couple of times, so still a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but overall indications that we're going to continue to see at least some above average warmth. Notice this brings us to early next week. We see that nice jump in temperatures, then a quick drop, maybe mid to late week, before even more warmth starts to make its way in for next weekend. So pretty typical spring-like weather, I'd say, at least for the next couple of weeks. I will leave you with the temperature outlook by the the Climate Prediction Center. Again, looking out into early May. I cannot believe we're almost done with April. Yeah. Still looking to be at least a little above average in our area. And I think at this point, you know, April has been so back and forth, Rob.
It really has, yeah.
At least speaking for myself, I'm ready for some consistency.
I could use some warmth, too.
Could be a good thing.
Now, we have actually been timing these weekends out pretty good, though.
That is so true.
We've had some of the, you know, not so enjoyable weather during the week, beneficial in many ways, as we've been talking about.
Yeah.
But then the weekends have typically improved at least one of the 2 days. This weekend, probably like 1.5. Later Sundays looking iffy, like you were saying. But yeah, I mean, we'll take it if we're going to time it out. Next weekend looks really warm. So all good news there. We unfortunately have to pass along some bad news as we go back to New Jersey for an update. Investigators actually have a suspect in custody. We're talking about the wildfires recently. He's been accused of sparking these the Pine Barrens wildfire in New Jersey is what they're calling it. They're, of course, still battling that blaze. We've got more from Fox's Nate Foy.
A teenager is now facing arson charges, accused of starting a massive wildfire in New Jersey. Authorities accuse 19-year-old Joseph Kling of setting wooden pallets on fire and leaving without putting out the blaze. The fast-moving fire scorched more than 15,000 acres since breaking out Tuesday morning and is expected to continue growing over the next few days.
These fires have a capability of just kind of driving that energy and building off of themselves in a way that when they get really large, you know, tens of thousands of acres, they start to create their own weather. These fires will persist for a long time until we get soaking rainfall.
Smoke continues to blanket New Jersey and even New York communities, prompting air quality alerts. But around-the-clock efforts to contain the fire continue, keeping residents safe. All evacuation orders are lifted, with no injuries reported so far, and just one commercial building destroyed.
We have the fire right up to the edge of those folks' homes. There's nothing else left to burn at this point. So as far as the fire coming in and impinging on the property or any of the improved structures in the area, that's not going to happen there anymore.
Power is back on for some 25,000 customers after authorities cut power lines temporarily for firefighter safety. 19-year-old Joseph Kling will remain in custody at the Ocean County Jail until his detention hearing next Tuesday. Authorities say this is the second largest wildfire in New Jersey over the past 20 years. In Lacey Township, New Jersey, Nate Foy, Fox News.
Wow.
Stunning pictures.
And thankfully there is rain moving in. It's not quite there just yet, but later tonight into Saturday. Not sure it's going to be a huge soaking rain, but at least, you know, a little bit of what they need.
Yeah, as you heard in the report, that's something they definitely could use. And, you know, I think it's important to point out that, well, this, you know, tragically was an arson that sparked this. It was the weather and the dry conditions that spread it as rapidly as it has spread. And it's a great reminder to be incredibly careful. You know, obviously this was a huge level of, you know, incompetence and neglect on this person's level that he's accused of, at the very least, I should say, to be clear. But sometimes it's just absent-mindedness or, you know, running a lawnmower and you hit a stone and a spark gets going on dry grass. You just have to be really mindful of how quickly these things can spread.
And it's been so windy too, so
absolutely.
No, that doesn't help either.
Yeah, you're right, and it has been particularly windy this spring. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about some good news. We have some drought conditions to talk about, a little bit of a river cleanup. It's all on the other side, right here in Wisconsin Weather Experts on Fox Local.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Earlier before the break, to start the show, we talked about today being Arbor Day. So kind of keeping with that theme, there is a special day tomorrow across the Milwaukee area to clean the Milwaukee River.
Yeah, there's a big river cleanup. Tomorrow will be the annual Milwaukee Riverkeeper Spring Cleanup. It's a big deal around these parts. I'm sure you've seen them in the area before. It'll be from 9 until noon at more than 80 sites. Tons of spots you can get involved with. It's all across the Milwaukee River Basin. You get supplied with gloves, trash bags, you get a free t-shirt, and all that just for an exchange for helping them clean up. Organizers hope the event motivates others to care about the river. Pre-registration is encouraged, but if you don't get around to doing that, you can just show up on the day of and be a part of it.
And this is a big event that I know a lot of people take part in. In fact, I think my church is taking part in this in the area of the river where the church is located. It seems like a simple way to, number one, get involved in the community, and number two, just clean up something that is so beautiful and beneficial to us.
And they are a big part, obviously, of our entire water system, which we've talked about before. And, you know, anything we put out there into that eventually makes its way back to us.
Right.
Like, for example, prescription drugs.
Exactly. So something else taking place is a drug take-back day. Also stuff you want to keep, out of the river and out of the water. Tomorrow is National Drug Take-Back Day, and one of the goals is to keep unwanted medications from ending up in the wrong hands, of course. But the other big challenge is keeping the drugs out of our waterways, as we just mentioned. There are more than 270 law enforcement agencies statewide participating in this tomorrow. Some of the things you can drop off are prescriptions, controlled and non-controlled, over-the-counter medications, ointments, patches, and inhalers. You can head to our Fox Local mobile app for a location near you. Always good to have these days because you just have all these little whether they're empty or full containers just sitting in your bathroom.
Right. Like maybe you started on a prescription and it ended up being not good for you, and then it just sat in your your drug cabinet or whatever you call it there, the medicine cabinet. And the last thing you want to do is flush them down the toilet or down the sink or the garbage disposal or whatever, because that's how they get into the watershed. So great day. I've already got my location marked out. I got a big old bag of stuff. Like going back a decade, because they just keep piling back up in the medicine cabinet.
Exactly.
So they're getting out of my house. A little spring cleaning.
Tomorrow's the day.
There you go. We're still on a river theme here. We have one of our first river flood warnings of the season popping up now. It's not in our immediate area. It is actually north of Madison on the Columbia River. We can take a look at that on the map here in a second. There it is, that green splotch. And so that is in place until Sunday at 7 a.m. So as of about 9:15 at last check, it was at 17.7 feet. So it is above bank, full stage. Is it in a moderate flood? It'll likely come up just shy of a major flood, which is 18. It's going to be about 17.8. And then they do expect it to start falling back below that flood stage by early Sunday morning. But in the meantime, that stretch there is problematic, and some area houses usually end up with river water in their basements by the time it hits 18. So it's going to be a very close call, and with a little bit of extra rain, they'll have to keep a close eye on that. But this rain is a good thing.
It is a good thing. And, we haven't really seen many river flood warnings here in our area.
Because they were so low. We were so dry.
They were so low. So even with some of the rain we've seen over the past, month, especially past couple of weeks, it hasn't really caused any problems. But the rain has helped us out when it comes to our drought. So we've been talking about it for months, at least being in abnormally dry or moderate drought conditions. Meteorologist Tom Wachs has an update.
Want to give you a quick update here on where we stand rain-wise through yesterday. And of course, we've had quite a bit of rain this month so far. Even with all the rain that we've had, we're still just a little bit below our average for both the month and the year, but overall, we're doing pretty well in terms of rain across the area. As we look at the drought conditions, or really lack of drought conditions across the area, this is getting better as well. We've really seen a lot of improvement over the course of the last month. So the yellow shaded area that you're seeing here is abnormally dry conditions. So still abnormally dry in spots, but it is getting better not only in southern Wisconsin, Wisconsin, but also in the northwest part of the state as well. So the drought conditions have really improved across the area, again, with all the moisture that we've had. Now, across the country, you can also see where we're seeing the worst of the drought conditions across parts of Texas and into the portions of desert Southwest as well. We're seeing some of those more intense drought conditions. But again, with all the rain we've had around here, our drought conditions continue to improve.
Yeah, a big improvement to be sure. That map changed a lot even just in the last week.
Yeah, and when it comes to our totals for the year, I think we've been looking at the bigger picture with our deficit, especially with the lack of snow.
Right,
during
yeah,
the
we had
winter.
that snow drought. We were really under for a good long stretch.
Yeah, and now we are way less than an inch below. In fact, less than a half an inch below, I believe, for liquid precip for the year now.
Yeah, so we're
is
doing
great
very
news.
well. And for the season, for meteorological spring, we're actually above.
Yeah.
And some spots in the state are like 3 inches above the average. So all good news. The farmers are happy. The gardeners are happy. We'll end on a happy note for this segment. We'll have more, though, that I think is mostly happy stuff. We're going to show you a smiley face in the sky. I mean, does it get any better than that? Stick around. It's all on the other side with the Wisconsin weather experts. All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts. If you have been on social media anytime in the last little while, you have probably seen this post about the smiley face. And unfortunately, I mean, it is a really cool event, but unfortunately, social media made it look like you were going to look up there and see some sort of, astronomical version of the smiley face t-shirt.
Right.
And that clearly was never going to happen, although some people were very disappointed when they actually saw what did happen. This is actually from one of our live cameras. I posted it on my social media, and I think we've got the video as well. That is what happened this morning down in Key West from one of our live cameras there. And you kind of see it a little bit. You can see the smiley face of the moon, and then the brightest of the two planets actually to the top, and then the more dimmer planet off to the south and east, sort of making, like, to me it almost looks like a wiener dog smiley face.
Yeah,
because the
like
shadow,
that's the nose.
Yeah, that's the nose and whatever.
Moon,
so
that is.
no, it doesn't look anything like the t-shirt, but yes, it's still really cool with the crescent moon and the planetary triangle there setting up. And I think it's quite nice. And if you ever have any questions, if you're like, this can't be right? You can always send us the social media or your question about social media or anything else weather related by clicking on the QR code. And then, of course, we'll do our very best to answered that. Speaking of social media, I'm surprised this hasn't been making the rounds. Oh, I guess it just happened, but a really cool picture sent in from one of our partners over at Fox Weather of a lightning strike to a tree. And you can see that that iron cross was nailed into the tree previous. You see the strike and then that scarring that goes right through the cross, the marker there in the tree, and creates that bright kind of orange. It blasted the bark off the tree right in that narrow line. So that's from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Wow. A clear burn scar.
Yeah.
And, you know, we see this from time to time. In fact, there are even times where the tree catches on fire.
Oh, sure.
From lightning strikes.
Internally, usually, too, because of the way it's heated up from the lightning, but just kind of a neat scar right through the marker on the tree there. From there, we go to tortoises because you have to have
we have to talk about this.
Gotta have a cute animal at the end of the show, right? The babies of 2 tortoises are the tortoises, the moms in this case, are nearly 100 years old. These are the babies, and they're making their public debut. The 4 baby tortoises made their debut Wednesday at the Philadelphia Zoo on the 93rd anniversary of the mama tortoise's arrival there. The mother tortoise is named Mommy. The dad is named Abrazo. They're Western Santa Cruz Galapagos tortoises. The species is critically endangered, so this is great news. Only a few thousand left around the world. They're also the largest tortoise species alive. So just look at the size of the mama there.
Just
or
incredible.
daddy, we really don't know.
And those are so tiny.
Yeah,
so
the male.
Exciting. That's great news.
It is. The males can weigh up to 500 pounds.
Wow, amazing.
Very cool. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more Wisconsin weather experts on Monday at noon on Fox Local.